Okay, look around you right now. The room you are sitting in, the screen you are looking at, the sky outside your window. Everything you see is brought to you by something so common, so entirely woven into the fabric of our everyday lives that we take it completely for granted. Light. It floods our world every morning. It bounces off our coffee cups. It streams from our devices. But what if I told you that the light entering your eyes at this exact moment is quietly defying the most fundamental laws of common sense? We measure the speed of light at a staggering 299,792 kilometers per second. It is the absolute unbreakable speed limit of the cosmos. But that raw number hides a secret so profound, so deeply unsettling, that when Albert Einstein first realized the implications, it completely shattered our human understanding of reality. We are going to take a journey today. I want you to imagine riding on a single particle of light, a photon, born in the fiery heart of a distant star. By the time we reach our destination, you will realize that your intuitive understanding of time is a complete illusion. For the beam of light we are riding, time simply does not exist. A journey across the vast, freezing emptiness of the entire universe happens in an absolute, literal instant. For that photon, its birth and its death occur at the exact same moment. If you are ready to leave the safety of everyday logic behind and see the universe as it truly operates, make sure to subscribe and join our journey. We are about to break apart everything you thought you knew about space, time, and existence. The truth is far stranger than you could ever imagine. Let us begin. Think back to when you were young, maybe riding in the back seat of your parents' car on a long summer road trip. You stare out the window, watching the landscape roll by. If a car drives past you in the opposite direction, it seems to vanish in a blur, moving incredibly fast. But if a car slowly creeps past you in the same lane, going just a fraction faster than you are, it seems to hover outside your window for minutes. Its speed relative to you is barely a walking pace. This simple, intuitive observation is the bedrock of how we navigate the world. It is the physics of Galileo and Isaac Newton. It tells us that speed is completely relative. Speed is just a relationship between you and the thing you are watching. If you run toward a thrown baseball, it hits your glove harder. If you run away from it, it hits your glove softer. It is simple math. It is common sense. It is the foundation of a rational, predictable universe. But as the 20th century dawned, the universe revealed a glitch in this perfect clockwork machinery. The glitch was light itself. I want you to hold on to that memory of the cars on the highway. Now, strip away the cars, the road, and the atmosphere. Imagine we are floating together in the deep, silent void of deep space. A comet hurtles past us at an unimaginable speed, say half the speed of light. Now, a beam of light, perhaps from a distant supernova, races past both of us in the same direction. According to the bedrock logic of our everyday lives, the comet has a massive head start. Just like the car creeping past your window, the comet is already moving in the same direction as the light. So, to an observer standing on that comet, the light beam should appear to be moving slower. It should be sluggish, struggling to pull ahead, but it does not. And this is the exact moment where the universe stops making intuitive sense. No matter who you are, no matter how fast you are traveling, and no matter what direction you are moving, if you measure a beam of light in a vacuum, you will always, without fail, get the exact same number. 299,792 kilometers per second. It does not matter if you are flying toward the light source at breakneck speed or fleeing away from it as fast as a rocket can carry you. The light approaches you at exactly the same speed, Let us push this thought experiment to its absolute breaking point. 3. Imagine you build a spaceship that can travel at 99.9% the speed of light. You are flying through the cosmos, practically skimming the ultimate speed limit. 3. You stand at the front of your ship and turn on a flashlight, pointing straight ahead. What do you see? Does the light barely trickle out of the bulb? 3. Crawling away from you at that remaining 0.1%? Absolutely not. When you measure the light from your flashlight, it races away from you at the full speed of light, exactly as it would if you were sitting still in your living room. Now, think deeply about the monumental contradiction here. 3. Someone watching you from a stationary planet sees your ship flying at nearly the speed of light. They see your flashlight turn on, but they do not see the light traveling at almost double the speed limit. 3. They see it traveling at exactly the speed of light. How can you, moving at blistering speed, and an observer standing perfectly still, both measure the exact same beam of light and get the identical speed? It feels like a mathematical impossibility. It feels like a paradox that should rip the universe apart. But it is not a mistake. It is the absolute foundational rule of reality. Light is the untouchable sovereign of the cosmos. Its speed is absolute. But speed is just a measure of distance covered over a period of time. 3. If the speed of light refuses to change, no matter the circumstances, then nature is forced into a corner. To balance the cosmic books, something else must bend. Something else must warp. 3. And that brings us to the edge of the abyss. Because the things that must warp to protect the speed of light are space and time themselves. Let us pick up exactly where we left off. 3. We established that the universe bends space and time to protect the absolute speed of light. But what does it actually mean for time to bend? Think about how you experience time. 3. We treat time as an absolute metronome, a relentless drumbeat ticking away in the background of the cosmos. A second for me is a second for you. A year for the Earth is a year for a distant star. 3. It marches forward, rigidly and universally. We build our entire lives around this assumption. We schedule our days, we celebrate our birthdays, and we watch ourselves age in the mirror, all operating on the deep belief that time is a universal constant. Now, I am going to ask you to throw that belief away. Imagine I buy 2 identical, incredibly precise atomic clocks. 3. I keep one here in my living room, and I place the other one on an incredibly fast train. As long as the train is sitting idle in the station, the clocks tick in perfect unison. But the exact moment that train starts moving, the rigid architecture of reality begins to fracture. To keep the speed of light perfectly constant for both of us, the universe has to perform a profound magic trick. For the moving train, time itself slows down. I want to be very clear about this. This is not a mechanical failure of the clock. The internal gears are not getting sticky. Time itself, the actual flow of reality, stretches out. If you are a passenger on that train, everything feels perfectly normal to you. Your heart beats at a normal rate. Your thoughts flow at a normal pace. Your coffee cools down exactly as you expect. But if I could somehow peer into the window of your train as you zoom past at a massive fraction of the speed of light, I would see you moving in ultra slow motion. 3. This leads to consequences that shatter our human intuition. Imagine you have a twin brother. You stay on Earth, and your brother boards a spacecraft designed to travel at 99% the speed of light. He takes a journey across the Milky Way galaxy and returns home. To him, sitting inside the cabin, the journey felt like it took 5 years. His clock, his body, his cells all experienced exactly 5 years of biological life. He steps off the ship, expecting to see you waiting for him, 5 years older. But he does not find a brother of the same age. He finds a man who has lived through decades. You might be an old man, perhaps in your twilight years, while he is still in the prime of his life. You have aged at completely different rates because you moved through space at completely different speeds. You might be thinking this is just a mathematical game, a theoretical puzzle played by physicists on chalkboards. It is not. This is science fact. We measure this every single day with the satellites orbiting our planet. The GPS navigation system in your car relies on satellites racing around the Earth at thousands of kilometers per hour. Because they are moving so fast, time flows at a slightly different rate for those satellites than it does for us down here on the ground. If our engineers did not manually correct the satellite clocks to account for Albert Einstein's time dilation, the GPS network would completely fail in a matter of minutes. Reality would literally drift out of sync. So, we are forced to accept a terrifying and beautiful truth. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. Space and time are not a fixed, rigid stage where the events of the universe play out. They are a flexible, malleable fabric. They stretch, they warp, and they compress to accommodate the one true absolute sovereign of the universe, the speed of light. But this brings us to a dark and dizzying precipice. The mystery deepens. If time slows down the faster you go, what happens when you push that to the absolute limit? What happens to time when you hit the ultimate cosmic speed limit? What happens when you are not riding on a fast train or a rocket, but you are the beam of light itself? We ended the last chapter at the edge of a conceptual cliff. We established that as you move faster through space, your passage through time slows down. Now, I want you to take that law of physics and push it to its absolute mathematical extreme. I want you to imagine what happens when you do not just travel near the ultimate speed limit, but when you actually hit it. Imagine you are back on that futuristic spacecraft, but this time, our engineers have found a way to give it more and more power. You are traveling at 99% the speed of light. As we learned, your clock is ticking incredibly slowly compared to a clock back on Earth. But let us add more nines. You accelerate to 99.9%. Then 99.999%. As you get closer and closer to that magical number of 299,792 kilometers per second, two bizarre things happen simultaneously. First, your clock ticks slower and slower, approaching a complete standstill. Second, the physical space in front of you begins to compress. The distance to your destination physically shrinks. The faster you go, the shorter the universe becomes, but you cannot ever reach that final fraction of a percent. As long as you are made of matter, as long as you have a single ounce of mass, the universe forbids you from reaching the speed of light. It would take an infinite amount of energy to get you there, but light has no mass. A photon is a pure packet of energy, because it is utterly weightless. It does not just approach the speed limit. From the very instant it is born, it travels exactly at the ultimate speed limit. So, what happens to the math when you plug a photon into Albert Einstein's equations? The equations break, or rather, they reveal a truth so profoundly counterintuitive that it takes time for the human mind to accept it. When you hit the speed of light exactly, the time dilation equation drops to zero. The length contraction equation drops to zero. I want you to really hear what I am saying. For a particle of light, time does not just slow down. It stops completely. The cosmic metronome ceases to tick, and the physical distance in the direction the light is traveling collapses completely. It shrinks to absolutely nothing. This creates the ultimate paradox of our universe. Let us look at a photon created in the nuclear furnace at the center of our sun. from our human perspective on Earth, it takes that photon about 8 minutes to cross the vast emptiness of space, enter our atmosphere, and warm your skin on a bright summer afternoon. We can measure that time. We can measure that distance. It is real to us. But if you could somehow ask that photon what it experienced, it would give you a terrifying answer. From the photon's perspective, 0 time has passed. Absolutely 0. It did not experience 8 minutes. It did not experience a microsecond. Because time stands perfectly still at the speed of light, the exact moment of the photon's birth in the sun, and the exact moment of its death on your skin are the exact same moment. Let us scale this up to truly break our everyday logic. When you go outside on a clear night and look up at the Andromeda galaxy, you are looking at light that has been traveling across the freezing void of intergalactic space for 2.5 million years. That light began its journey before the human species even existed. We look at it and feel incredibly small in the face of such ancient, sprawling history. Yet, to the photon entering your eye, there was no journey. There was no vast, empty void. Because it moves at the speed of light, the entire 2.5 million light years of distance collapsed to 0. From its own perspective, the photon was emitted by an alien star and absorbed by your retina in the exact same absolute instant. How can this be? How can a journey take millions of years from our perspective, but absolutely 0 time from the perspective of the light itself? How can a particle cross the entire observable universe without experiencing a single second of existence? Both realities are mathematically correct. Both are physically true. This paradox forces us to ask a dangerous question. If light experiences no time, and light is the fundamental web that connects every event in the cosmos, then what does that mean for our human concepts of the past, the present, and the future? We have shattered the idea that time flows at a single universal speed. We have seen how a particle of light experiences the entire history of the cosmos in a single absolute instant. But now we must face the most deeply unsettling consequence of all this. It is a conclusion so profoundly counterintuitive that it will permanently alter how you view your own life, your memories, and your destiny. We need to talk about the concept of right now. Think about this very moment. As you listen to my voice, you have an overwhelming, undeniable feeling that now is a universal snapshot of reality. You believe that there is a master clock ticking for the entire universe. If a dog barks in your neighborhood, or a meteor strikes the dark side of the moon, or a star collapses in a distant galaxy, you intuitively feel that these things can happen in the exact same present moment. You believe in a shared, universal present, but the absolute speed of light destroys this intuition completely. There is no universal master clock. The present moment is a completely localized personal illusion. To prove this to you, I want to use one of my absolute favorite ways to visualize the universe. I want you to picture all of space and all of time as a massive, solid block. Imagine it as a giant, incredibly long loaf of bread. The length of this loaf represents all of physical space from one edge of the universe to the other. The thickness of the loaf represents all of time. The very beginning of the loaf is the Big Bang, and the other end is the distant future. When you think about the present moment, what you call right now, you are effectively taking a knife and cutting a single straight slice down through that cosmic loaf. Everything on that specific slice is happening at the exact same moment from your perspective. Now, imagine an alien sitting perfectly still on a planet in a galaxy 10 billion light years away from Earth. Because neither of you is moving relative to the other, your slices of time are perfectly parallel. You share the exact same present moment. your knives have cut the bread at the exact same angle. But remember the unbending law we established in our journey. Motion warps time and space. If that alien simply gets up from a chair and starts walking slowly away from Earth, their motion changes their perspective of time. Their knife shifts. Their slice of the universe tilts. Because the alien is so unimaginably far away, that tiny, very microscopic angle of tilt is magnified across billions of light years of space. As the alien walks away from you, their slice of now sweeps backward into Earth's history. For that walking alien, their present moment, their right now, no longer includes you sitting there listening to me. Their right now slices through Earth hundreds of years ago. If they could somehow look at our planet in their present moment, they would see the American Revolution or the building of the Taj Mahal. To them, those events are not the distant past. They are actively happening right now. And if the alien turns around and walks toward you, their knife tilts in the exact opposite direction. Their slice of now sweeps forward into Earth's future. Their present moment might contain an Earth 100 years from now, with people and technologies that have not even been born yet from your perspective. Do you see the terrifying beauty of what this means? If someone else's now can be what you consider the unalterable past, then your past cannot be gone. It must still exist, frozen permanently in that block of space-time. And if someone else's now can be your unwritten future, then your future is not unwritten at all. It is already out there waiting for you. The past is not a memory that has faded away. The future is not a blank page waiting to be written. Past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. Reality is not a flowing river. It is a solid block of frozen ice. Every moment you have ever lived and every moment you ever will live is already suspended in the architecture of the cosmos. Listen closely, because I know exactly what your mind is doing right now. It is violently rejecting everything I just said. You are sitting there, feeling the steady rhythm of your own breathing, feeling the seconds tick by, and your brain is screaming that I must be wrong. You remember yesterday. You can plan for tomorrow. You feel the forward march of time in your very bones. How can I possibly stand here and tell you that the future is already waiting for you and that the past never actually fades away? This brings us to the hardest truth in all of modern physics. It is a truth so staggering and yet so profoundly beautiful that it fundamentally changed how the greatest minds of the 20th century viewed life, reality, and even death. To understand this hard truth, we have to forcefully separate the raw physics of the universe from the biology of your brain. Think about an old-fashioned reel of movie film. If you hold that physical roll of film in your hands, you hold the entire story all at once. The opening scene, the dramatic climax, and the final credits all exist simultaneously in the palm of your hand. The physical film itself does not change. It is static. But when you thread it through a projector, the light illuminates only one single frame at a time. The reel spins. The light shifts from frame to frame, and the illusion of motion, the illusion of time passing, is born on the screen. You and I, our human consciousness, we are the projector light, space-time. That giant block of frozen reality we just talked about is the reel of film. The universe does not happen. The universe simply is. It exists in its entirety, a vast, unchanging architecture of events. Every single moment of your life is a single frame permanently suspended within that solid block. When you feel time passing, what you are actually experiencing is your consciousness moving through the static frames of your life. Your brain is a biological machine designed by evolution to process reality one thin slice at a time. It carefully records the slices that came before, which we call memory, and it makes calculated guesses at the slices yet to come, which we call anticipation. But that feeling of flow, that relentless forward momentum that you feel pushing you toward tomorrow, is a psychological illusion. It is a trick played by human biology to help us survive. It is not a fundamental law of physics. This is the hard truth we must face. From the perspective of the cosmos, from the unyielding perspective of the speed of light, nothing is actively changing. Nothing is flowing. Everything simply exists. I want you to think deeply about what this means for the people we have lost. When someone passes away, our natural human instinct is to feel that they are gone forever, that they have slipped into a past that no longer exists. We mourn the end of their timeline. But the physics of space and time tells us a radically different, far more comforting story. If the past is exactly as real and as physically permanent as the present, then the moments you shared with those you love are not gone. They are not ghosts fading into the ether. They are permanently etched into the rigid fabric of the cosmos. Just because your projector light has moved past those specific frames does not mean those frames have ceased to exist. In the grand block of space-time, they are still there, perfectly preserved, happening eternally. But what about tomorrow? If the future already exists, permanently waiting for us in the block of space-time, do we have any real choice in how our lives unfold? Do we have free will, or are we just following a track that was laid down at the dawn of time? This is where the simple physics of a light beam forces us to look in the mirror and question the very core of what it means to be human. We feel with absolute certainty that we are writing the script of our lives page by page. But the universe is telling us that we are actually just turning the pages of a book that was printed completely from beginning to end long before we were even born. I want you to hold on to that unsettling feeling. The profound discomfort of realizing that every choice you will ever make is already locked in place, permanently suspended in the crystalline architecture of space-time. It feels as though you are trapped in a predetermined cage. It feels as though the speed of light, by forcing time to bend and reality to freeze, has stolen your humanity and your freedom. But I want to offer you a very different perspective. A perspective that brings us all the way back to that single photon of light we started our journey with. Think about reading a magnificent, sweeping novel. You hold the physical book in your hands. The ink is already dry on the final page. The ending is absolutely fixed. The fate of every single character is completely determined before you even open the cover. But the joy, the terror, the profound meaning of the book does not come from having the power to change the ending. The meaning comes entirely from the act of reading. It comes from turning the pages, from experiencing the unfolding of events, step by inescapable step. Our human consciousness is the act of reading the universe. We are the cosmos experiencing itself. Yes, the grand block of space-time is static, but our biological journey through it is vibrant, deeply felt, and entirely real to us. And this is where we realize that the speed of light is not a prison warden. It is the exact opposite. It is the absolute rule that prevents the universe from descending into complete, meaningless chaos. Imagine a glass falling off a table and shattering on the floor. In your everyday experience, the cause, which is the glass falling, always comes before the effect, which is the glass shattering. This strict order of events is the bedrock of sanity. But why does the universe enforce this order? Because nothing can travel faster than 299,792 kilometers per second. Information has a strict, unbreakable speed limit. The cause cannot reach the effect instantly. If the speed of light were infinite, everything would happen everywhere all at once. 3. The push and the shatter would be simultaneous across the entire universe. There would be no sequence, no history, no separation between past and future. The universe would be a scrambled, very incoherent blast of noise. By enforcing a strict speed limit, light organizes the frozen block of space-time into a coherent logical structure. 3. It ensures that no matter how you slice the cosmic loaf of bread, no matter how fast you are moving or how warped your personal sense of time becomes, the glass will always fall before it breaks. 3. The absolute speed of light protects cause and effect. It is the invisible glue that holds logic together. We are incredibly privileged to be the readers of this magnificent cosmic manuscript. 3. We have evolved the capacity to look up at the night sky, to measure the speed of light, to stretch our minds far beyond the simple biological illusions of our primate brains, and to actually glimpse the eternal frozen structure of everything that is. This journey we have taken today, pushing past the safe boundaries of everyday logic to touch the fundamental, very unyielding truths of existence, is not something we can do alone. It requires time, extreme dedication, and a relentless desire to look deeper than the surface of reality. 3. If this exploration has shifted your perspective, if it has given you a genuine moment of awe, or fundamentally changed how you view the passing of time, I want to ask you to support this work directly. 3. Just below this video, you will see a button labeled Super Thanks. It is a small feature, but it is the absolute lifeblood of what we do here. 3. Using the Super Thanks button allows us to bypass the noise and directly fund the deep, rigorous